Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson, your host, speaking at you from Sunday, December 22nd, 2024. Yesterday was the winter solstice up here in the Northern Hemisphere, and up here in Minnesota, the sun set at about 4:33 p.m. last night, then went into the longest night of the year. So tonight will be the beginning of nights getting shorter and shorter, and the return of the sun. The actual sun is actually what winter solstice is all about. Meaning the light is coming more and more. The darkness is going more and more. And I think no matter what happens in the next year, we're going to see that. I know everyone's nervous and scared about the whole Trump thing going on, but man, what did we see this week? Did we see a powerful Donald Trump? Did we see a powerful MAGA movement? Did we see a powerful Republicans in control of the House? We saw none of that. Chip Roy, somebody I don't agree with on hardly anything. He is a Republican House member, I think from Texas, very MAGA, but he defied Trump and President Elon Musk, which we'll get into in a second about what's going on with Elon and Trump. But Trump said that if Chip Roy votes for this CR, continuing resolution, then he will go down hard. Trump's going to take him down. Then Chip Roy went on the House floor and said, this is ludicrous what he's asking for. Chip Roy is not at all intimidated by Trump anymore, apparently. Elon and Trump have seemed to lost their power. Let's just do a recap. If you don't know, it's a little confusing. Over weeks, maybe months, the Democrats and Republicans in the House, including MAGA Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, were making a deal for a continuing resolution to keep the government funded past the government breakdown point. Basically, when the budget ends and a new budget is supposed to be passed, they can pass a continuing resolution because the Republicans are never going to pass a budget. Last time a budget was passed by the House was when Nancy Pelosi was in charge. The Democrats always pass a budget. The Republicans never pass a budget and are forced to try and pass a continuing resolution, which is funding so that the government doesn't come to a complete shutdown, which it was scheduled to do 2 nights ago, this last Friday night. So this week was made up of all this drama. The continuing resolution that was agreed upon by Democrats and Republicans included money for child cancer research. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and the MAGAs don't want child cancer research. They want kids to die of cancer, just like they want women to die of complications they might have, health issues having to do with reproductive, pretty much anything. Because another thing that was in this bill was funding for early detection of breast cancer. MAGAs, which is most of the Republicans, Donald Trump and Elon Musk, want women to die of breast cancer. They hate women and they hate children. The bill also included funding for Down syndrome research. It had funding to treat sickle cell. They don't want people to be treated for that. Here's a big tell with Elon Musk. It included a crackdown on U.S. investment in China. I thought China was the big enemy. Elon Musk, of course, wants to invest in China. He wants to start an AI thing in China and all this. He wants to make even more billions in China. So he didn't want that in the bill. Also, a crackdown on PBM, which is pharmacy benefit managers. They raised the price of drugs. A crackdown on PBMs would bring drug prices down. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and MAGATs, which means most Republicans, they want you to pay more for drugs. They don't want you to pay less for drugs. And, of course, they want children to die of cancer. They don't want to help children with cancer. They don't want to continue doing cancer research to try and prevent children from getting cancer. So Elon Musk first said, anybody who votes for this bill should be voted out in 2 years. And I will pay for their primary, which means they're going to get an even more crazy right-wing MAGAT to run in a primary. At what point do they start losing these elections? Because they keep primarying and coming up with more and more crazy candidates. At what point then do they lose to a Democrat in a deep red district? This is what's going on. They're going way too far, and they're too dumb to realize. Everyone says, Elon Musk is an entrepreneur. He's an engineer. He invented electric cars. He invented the rocket. He invented outer space travel. He did nothing. His father ran, employed slaves. He didn't, is that how do you employ slaves? No, you just have slaves. Working in emerald mines in South Africa and got filthy rich and gave tons of money to Elon Musk, who came to the United States and worked past his work visa after it had expired to make billions more. What he did with Tesla is he came in and kicked out the guys who invented the Tesla, the actual engineers who actually made the Tesla cars so successful, with the longest range and all of that. He kicked them out of the business. By the way, they went and made another business who makes way cooler cars, but they don't have as much money. So Elon Musk just infused money into Tesla. Now, I think that's good because it ended up doing a lot for electric vehicles, but he had nothing to do with inventing the electric vehicle. In reality, he's an idiot. Now he thinks he's a genius in politics, and he is an idiot in politics. So anyway, Elon said anyone who votes for this bill that wants children to live, wants to try and prevent children from getting cancer, and wants to try and prevent women from getting breast cancer, or treating sickle cell people, or doing research for Down syndrome, or consumer protection for junk fees. That was another part. Anyone who votes in favor of those things should be punished. And then Mike Johnson got scared, and he pulled the bill down and put up a different one that had none of this. And then they took a vote on that, and that's where Chip Roy was saying, this is ridiculous. Donald Trump said, you have to raise the debt ceiling or push the debt ceiling way out past my presidency so that Joe Biden should have to be blamed for the debt ceiling being raised. The debt ceiling is not scheduled to be raised. It doesn't need to be raised because we're not up against the debt ceiling right now. Predictions are we'll come up against the debt ceiling again in June of 2025, at which point then it'll need to be raised. Trump doesn't want that to happen. Trump also said, shut the government down now while Biden is in so that I don't get blamed for shutting the government down later. Elon Musk said no legislation should be done until Trump gets sworn in as president. He wants the government to shut down and stay shut down for over a month. That's what he wanted. So these guys are idiots, and they made their own people turn against them, and they proved that they do not have power over MAGATs in Congress anymore. Even the MAGATs are turning against Trump and President Elon Musk. So what ended up happening is they got the old bill back, and they voted on it. When they put up the Elon Musk and Donald Trump bill to raise the debt ceiling and kill children and women, 38 Republicans voted against it along with all the Democrats, so it went down in flames. So then they brought at the very last minute, the original bill back, voted on it on Friday night at the very last moment. So there's all this drama. Everyone has to stay in town longer. Yeah. So that's what happened this week. And the reason people are calling Elon Musk the president is because he was the first one to say this, and then Trump followed him. So it's pretty hilarious. There are all these memes and stuff of like Donald Trump being the waiter for Elon Musk. Elon Musk, sitting in the king's chair with Donald Trump with the little uniform and white gloves and a tray coming up to him and serving him. And it has now caused Donald Trump, in one of his rare appearances that he's making now at Charlie Kirk's whatever event. It's supposed to be for young Republicans, and anyway. Donald Trump showed up and he said, I'm not going to do his voice. Oh, that's right. I'm doing Casey Kasem instead of Donald Trump. He said, Elon Musk is not going to become president. Only I can become president because Elon Musk was not born in the United States. That's what Donald Trump said. So he's scared about all this. He's pissed about all this. What's going to happen between he and Elon Musk? We were talking about Joe Biden should deport Elon Musk. It looks more like Donald Trump will probably deport Musk. Yeah. None of us know whether to laugh or cry. By the way, Joe Biden surpassed 234 judges. Trump got 234 judges in, and now Joe Biden has beat him. A few days ago, he passed 235 judges. And also the most diverse: women, people of color, and progressives, liberals, people who are pro-American democracy, not the Nazis that Donald Trump tries to put in there. So, and by the way, Donald Trump also said, I have a mandate, the best mandate in 129 years. That was Casey Kasem, but I'm trying not to do the Trump voice. Anyway, why does he do that, by the way? Why doesn't he say 130 years or 125 years? By the way, 129 years ago was the third year of presidency. It was what was 129 years ago? 1895. There wasn't an election going on, nor was it the first year of an incoming presidency. I can't remember right now who the president was in 1895, but there was a mandate voted on in 1895. No, there wasn't. Why does he do this? And by the way, he has no mandate. 115,000 votes across 3 states go the other direction. Kamala Harris would have won the Electoral College. Trump did not even get 50% of Americans' votes, the people who voted. And by the way, everyone was talking about December 17th. That is when the states approve of their Electoral College and they send it to Congress and say, these are our electors. They're named by, that state is putting up their Republican electors because Donald Trump won the state, or vice versa. Everyone was talking about it. In 2020, it was a big deal. It happened on December 14th. That's the day Trump threw ketchup at the wall. You've heard about ketchup on the wall. That is the day that made the ketchup on the wall thing famous, when he found out that all 50 states did certify their electors. Well, December 17th was this last Tuesday, and I can't find anything about whether or not that happened. Why are we not hearing the news about that? It's really quite peculiar. It is quite peculiar. There are a few other things that it is impossible to find any news on. And these things seemingly are really a big deal. I want to talk about that in the second segment. But I want to top this one off by saying, no matter what comes in the coming months and years, Donald Trump seems to already have blown it as far as becoming president. He seems to have proven that Congress won't listen to him anymore. And he has proven that he's serious about all the crazy crap that everyone said, oh, he's not really going to do that. He did not need to nominate these crazy, crazy people that have no chance of getting the positions that he nominated them for. He didn't need to do that this early. Normally, you're putting together your staff so that you're putting together competent people who know how to vet the people that you're nominating to be in your cabinet. That's what's going on after Election Day up until now. You don't really start making those announcements until practically, you're inaugurated. So he didn't need to do that. He's blowing it, and they're showing their incompetence, and the Democrats are kicking their ass all around the room. And we'll talk about what's going to happen with leadership in the House also. When we come back, let's take a break. You're listening to A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson, your host. We will be right back.
I don't think we're witnessing the start of an oligarchy. I think we are fully here. You literally have a completely unelected billionaire who has just taken over and paused government funding to specifically take out provisions regarding China and other areas that pertain to him. You have billionaires who run news outlets like Jeff Bezos and the Washington Post, billionaires that run the LA Times, completely interjecting into their editorial boards and manipulating what's being written in them. We're here. We are here. And we are going to witness very unprecedented moments come January.
That is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, who I am excited about her future. She needs to be in a higher leadership position than she currently is, but she's doing great where she is as well. The question she's answering there is, are we really witnessing the beginning of an oligarchy? And she's saying, no, we're already in it. And that is the truth. We talked about this in the last episode, where we were saying, and I think the episode before that, where we were saying, do we have the democracy that we really want right now? Is this a democracy that we're currently in? Money runs everything, and has now for years. Democrats used to talk about getting money out of politics. We don't even talk about it anymore. And it has been controlling politics for many, many years. It's the only way Republicans can ever have any power in Washington, D.C. It's been that way for decades. So that's what she is talking about. She knows how to talk to people. She's been kind of with the moniker of, oh, she's super liberal. Is she? And if she is, isn't most of America also? She makes sense to most people. So Democrats need to listen to AOC and learn from her. Here's another person we need to learn from. This is a member of the Progressive Caucus in Congress. He is a representative in the House of Representatives from Texas. His name is Greg Casar. Let's listen to what he has to say.
GOP campaigned and won on a propaganda-fueled lie to the American people. They said over and over and over again that it was immigrants or people of color or trans people or whoever that were to blame for our economic problems. It wasn't a trans person who denied your health insurance claim. It was a giant health insurance company that has gone unregulated by the Republican majority. It was not an asylum seeker that raised your rent. It was a Wall Street hedge fund that did, just like the Wall Street hedge funds CEOs that Trump is trying to fill his cabinet up with. The truth is the GOP doesn't give a damn about working people. They just pretend to. They distract us with bigoted culture war propaganda while they pick the pockets of hardworking Americans. Our party has a tough road ahead. And I want to make it clear. The members of the Progressive Caucus are those who are best prepared to reform the Democratic Party. It is Progressive Caucus members who know how to stand up to CEOs who make more and more money while they pay their workers less and less. It is Progressive Caucus members who have the experience of standing up to special interest groups who spend millions of dollars to influence our elections. It is Progressive Caucus members who know how to stand for peace. It is Progressive Caucus members who stand up to bullies and fraudsters and the cheats who try to scapegoat our communities. Trump's entire campaign was built on nothing but lies. And it is Progressive Caucus members who are unbought and unbossed truth tellers.
That's how we need to talk. All right? That's how Democrats need to talk. I agree with him. We need to be who we are. We need to stop walking on eggshells because we think we might not get enough votes from the angry right-wing people. We're never going to get the votes from the angry right-wing people. Let's stop talking to them. We don't need them. Here's a question that was polled on. You know what I think of polls, but anyway. Democrats should lean harder into economic populism, like breaking up big corporations and preventing workers from being exploited. 70% of people polled agree with that. And that's because at least 70% of Americans agree with that. Why are we trying to pander to the 30 or less percent? For even a moment. Fuck them. That's what we need to think. The maggots, the people who think Trump is our savior, fuck them. They're not humans. That's how we need to think. And you know, by the way, they don't make up even 30% of Americans. They make up such a small amount. And they've always been around. They are made up of like Nazi groups, the Ku Klux Klan, the racists, bigots, hateful people. That's why I say they're not humans along with us. They don't make up 30% of the United States. They don't make 50%. They make, I don't know, less than 5% of Americans. We do not need to pander to them. Why are we scared to talk about a real immigration law? You just heard Greg Casar say, it wasn't any kind of immigrant who took your job. It was these oligarchs like Elon Musk. And starting 40 years ago, they started to send jobs overseas. It's the rich Republicans who have been taking jobs. Every time they get in power in the White House, there's a recession. And then the Democrats have to come and fix it. And things aren't improving fast enough. So then the Republicans say, look everything's a mess under the Democrats. And then they win elections. And then for 2 years, everything's great. And everyone thinks that Republican made it great. And that Republican then gives more tax cuts to billionaires. And then we go into a recession over the following 2 years when that guy's not going to be there anymore. And then the Democrats have to fix another mess that's been going on for 40 years at least. Actually, more than that. People are not dumb. Democrats need to stop treating them like they are. Democrats need to start treating people the way AOC treats people and talks to people. So, and by the way, Democrats are starting to talk like that. I have more clips from Chris Murphy. I don't know that I'm going to play them because they're kind of almost saying exactly what AOC said in the last clip, and I don't want to just take up time playing clips. But there are Democrats coming out and talking about it. Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, is doing a great job of messaging and talking to Americans and talking about things that Donald Trump is doing. And by the way, I said we're going to talk about a little leadership issues in the House. Another Republican announced that she is no longer going to caucus with the Republicans. She said she doesn't want to be a part of the clown show anymore, the circus. That's what she's calling the Republicans in the House, even though she is one. So she's not going to caucus with the Republicans. What if she decides to vote for somebody who would be a good leader in the House, who would be a good Speaker of the House? She hates Mike Johnson. A lot of Republicans do. That brings them down to 216, basically. So Democrats have 215 people, 215 votes in the House. Republicans basically have 216. We don't know if she's going to vote with them or not. But if she doesn't vote with them that day, say maybe for a vote that's going to happen on something like the 3rd or 4th or 5th of January, where they're going to vote for their new Speaker of their House, if all the Democrats vote for Hakeem Jeffries, and she decides to vote for Hakeem Jeffries, and one other Republican is either not there to vote or maybe decides to vote for Hakeem Jeffries, we will have Hakeem Jeffries, a Democratic Speaker of the House with a Republican majority. That's because a couple have already had to resign because Trump picked him as a nominee for his cabinet. One of them being Matt Gaetz, who we're looking forward to that report. It was supposed to come out on Friday, but I think because everything went till like midnight on Friday, the report did not get released. I expect it to be released on Monday. I think that's what's going to happen. The ethics report on him having sex with 17-year-old girls. What a mess. What a mess they have for themselves. I also said we're going to talk about some news stories that you can't really find much out about. Kamala Harris was on her way on Thursday late afternoon to Los Angeles for the holidays. Joe Biden was on his way to Delaware for the holidays. Abruptly, at about 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Joe Biden turned around and went back to the White House and apparently called Kamala Harris and said, "Hey kid, you gotta meet me. Look, it's no joke. It's no joke. You gotta meet me at the White House in the Oval Office." That wasn't a very good imitation of Joe Biden. Yeah, I haven't worked on that one at all. So she had her motorcade with sirens ablazing, which she usually doesn't do, and showed up at the White House, went into the Oval Office. Biden came in Air Force Two, or is that what the helicopter's called? I believe. No, Air Force Two is her airplane. This is, I can't remember what the helicopter. It's right on the tip of my brain. Doesn't matter, right? Marine One, something like that. I think it's Marine One. So he comes and lands in the helicopter. He and his wife Jill and their grandson Beau get out of the helicopter. He goes into the Oval Office. He doesn't go into the residence with his wife. He goes into the Oval Office after hours on Thursday. Not a word about that since. Neither Joe Biden or Kamala Harris have said, "Oh, by the way, everybody, the reason I did that was because of this." People speculated, is it because of the budget being passed? Well, Kamala doesn't need to be there for that for sure, and neither does Joe Biden. They can have him sign that bill when he's in Delaware. That's how things work. He doesn't have to be in the Oval Office when he signs every single thing. Sometimes he's in an airplane when he's signing stuff. So this continuing resolution, he could have signed from Delaware or from an airplane on the way to Delaware. So then people say, well, Kamala Harris maybe needed to break a tie in the Senate. No, the Democrats have the majority in the Senate. She doesn't have to break ties as much as she used to have to before that happened a couple years ago. And this CR passed, I don't know, with something like more than 70 senators. It was nowhere near a tie. So she didn't need to come back. She doesn't need to witness him signing a budget thing. And if that was the reason, wouldn't it have made sense for both of them to say, oh, hey, yeah, by the way, we came back to the White House to sign this continuing resolution. And also, they have canceled the entire week, or at least Biden has, and canceled. Like I said, I'm not sure what's going on because I can't find anything on it. Why is nobody reporting on this? I mean, people reported that it happened, but not everybody. Our president and vice president came back abruptly to the White House. Is there a terrorist attack? Maybe imminent? Well, it's been 3 days. And if that was going on since it happened, since they canceled their thing, and came back to the White House 3 days ago, don't you think they would have made an announcement about it now? Like, hey, we came back to the White House because we had information that there was going to be a terrorist attack, and we have found out that blah, 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 and we have prevented the terrorist attack. No announcement of the sort. You know what else was due on Friday? The Department of National Intelligence report from Avril Haines. Avril Haines is the head of the Department of National Intelligence. And funny thing, Donald Trump, after 2016, when he kept saying that the election was going to be rigged, they were saying that leading up to the 2016 election because they all thought they were going to lose. So they were planning on saying, oh, it was rigged after that. So Donald Trump kind of forced it was an executive order. It even has a name and an acronym. It doesn't matter so much, but it's basically a report that the Department of National Intelligence has 45 days to investigate election interference. And they have 45 days after the election to turn it in. They have to turn it in to the Attorney General and to the head of Homeland Security. It was due Friday the 20th, which is 45 days after November 5th. Now, if it was due on Friday, wouldn't you say there's a pretty good chance that Avril Haines would have had the report finished on Thursday night? This report then probably also got shown to the President of the United States. A report about election interference. An election that, if 115,000 votes across 3 states would have went the other direction, the election would have had the opposite result. And we'd be talking about President-elect Kamala Harris right now instead of the idiot. I'm not trying to get false hopes going, but this feels weird. They abruptly canceled their holiday plans and came as though there was a huge emergency to the White House and went directly. Kamala also was delivered directly into the Oval Office. Was Avril Haines also in the Oval Office waiting for them to come with a report in her hands? We haven't heard a word from Kamala Harris or Joe Biden since Thursday night. I believe, like I said, I've been trying to find it and I can't. Why are all the news outlets they're not talking about it? Even the alternative like Midas Touch and things like that. I mean, they mentioned that it happened, but they're not talking about it. Why? It just, it feels weird. After the election where everyone thought Kamala Harris was going to sweep everything, and a couple months before that, Donald Trump said, I don't need you to vote for me. We already have the votes we need. And Elon Musk saying publicly in an interview with Tucker Carlson, if he doesn't win, I am so effed. Who knows how long I'll be in prison. I may never see my children again. Elon Musk saying that shortly before the election. A video just turned up of him again being interviewed by Tucker Carlson, and his little boy It looks like a little kid, like maybe 7 years old, 8 years old, comes in. It's Elon Musk's son. Elon Musk says, should we help Mr. Trump? And the kid says, he grabs the microphone and he's having fun. He's a little boy. He's being, he's all excited because the camera's on him, and he grabs the microphone and he goes, they'll never know. And he laughs. And then Elon Musk laughs. And then the kid says, they'll never know again. And the little kid says, we are SpaceX. We can do whatever we want. The little kid says that in the microphone. And then he says, they'll never know. And he laughs. And then Tucker Carlson says, how do you think that it's going to turn out? Do you think it's going to win? He says it to the little kid. And then Elon Musk interrupts and says, it's already done. And then the little kid turns around and puts his hand over Elon Musk's mouth. This is a video that I saw for the first time at the beginning of this week, like on Monday or Tuesday. All right, I'm not trying to get false hope going, but all these things are true. I think we're going to have a lot of surprises. There have been surprises going on all over the world involving elections. Other countries, Syria falling, and people talking about intelligence possibly being released because of that to the United States. A lot of people think that Tulsi Gabbard is going to be in trouble because of some of this intelligence that's going to be released because Assad's regime fell in Syria. The rebels raided his castle or whatever, palace, and found a bunch of what we would call intelligence. Romania actually said, you know what? There was election interference in our country in this last election. We need to redo the election. That doesn't happen. Elon Musk said, I can tap into Starlink with one code. Starlink was shut down in India on, I think, Wednesday. And apparently Elon Musk's not the one who shut it down. These things are real. These are actual events that you can look up and find. But then the information gets cut off at some point. I've been trying to find details about these things, and I can't find them. I can find that they happened, but none of the stories go in depth. It's like, why did this happen? What is going on? Right now, there are a lot of things that are like, what is going on? We're leading into Christmas and New Year's, so usually nothing kind of goes on in the news over these couple weeks, but I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? Are we going to have a Democratic Speaker of the House? That's as far as I'll go. I'm not going to come up with other ideas of possibilities of why Kamala and Joe went into the Oval Office later, after hours on Thursday, after both abruptly turning their airplanes around from their Christmas holiday break. But all of these things are things that are happening right now. So, interesting times that we live in. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to talk to you next week. I kind of feel like I need a break, but at the same time, if more answers come out about any of these stories that I've just mentioned, I think I will be talking to you next week, because how could I not? We'll have to see. So I don't know if I'm going to be back next week or if I'll be back in 2 weeks. But either way, I thank you so much for listening to this episode of A Satellite View. We're keeping each other sane in these crazy times. I said we were going to start having fun. Of course, that was when I thought Kamala was going to win the election. I don't know. This last week was crazy. The last 5 or so weeks, at least 4 weeks, with all this stuff happening all over the world. Syria falling, these things I mentioned already in these other countries. I'm kind of having fun. Elon Musk, what's going to happen with Elon Musk in the coming weeks, months, and years? He's also invading the elections in other countries. He's supporting the neo-Nazi party in Britain, the AfD. He's getting involved in elections. It seems like Elon thinks he's going to take over the world. But he's too stupid. Anyway, at some point I got to end the show, right? Thank you again for listening. Thanks for helping keep me sane. This show actually helps keep me sane, believe it or not. And I do the show for you guys. Hopefully, I'm helping you stay sane as well. And let's enjoy what's going on right now, because things are not going... Why are the Maggots so pissed off? I thought they won. Why are they so pissed off? Well, partially because things are going horribly for them. So no matter what happens in the coming weeks, things are going horribly for them. And the Democrats, like I said last time, we have a lot of wins that have occurred. We've turned a lot of red seats blue in other parts of the election. But I will end the show, and I will talk to you either next week or the week after. Again, thank you so much for listening.
You've been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mikkelson. Go to toddmikkelson.com for links and more information.